Hello, Chrissy here from Footprint Tarot. Firstly, I've hit double digits in my subscribers, which is great. If you want to recommend my channel to anybody, please feel free to do so. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed and to those people who have been watching the videos. Just a little bit of a hint into what's coming up. Harold Holt. I will be looking at Harold Holt's disappearance in another video. Looking at whether Mitch McConnell's going to face a vote of no confidence. And yeah, and a few things like that. Yeah, so let me know if there's anything you want me to look at. Anything from the royals to other political figures or scandals, either Australia or Britain or anywhere really. I can, Google, the internet is wonderful to do some quick research to give you a bit of background. I don't like to do too much research. Anyway, this video is one that was requested by Rowan in some comments, or the comment he left me, and it's a look at Russia's relationship with the LNP. The LNP being the Liberal National Party in Australia, otherwise known as the Coalition. They've been, neither the Liberal or the National parties on their own have ever been able to form a majority government on their own. So many moons ago, they decided they would join forces and become the Liberal National Party or the Coalition. Everyone calls them the Liberal Party, mostly because most of the seats do belong to the Liberals, but yeah. Our current Prime Minister is Scott Morrison, and despite hopes to the contrary, the Liberal National Party did win the election in May. I'm a swing voter myself, but I do not like most of the members of the coalition, and I do not think that they're doing the best for the country, and I do not think they've been doing the best for the country. And I think they made a huge mistake in their selection of Prime Minister when that came up for a vote. But my preference is neither here or there. Anyway, let's have a look at whether or not Russia, is there a relationship between Russia and the LNP? Sorry about this, I should have had the spread ready next to me. I'll just quickly find the spread. I'm going to do a 5-card spread to start off with. And it's Australia and Russia's influence, the relationship between Australia and Russia. So I'm going to look at Australia's side. Okay, so a couple more. I'm using the Druid Craft Tarot deck, which is one of my newer ones that have just recently come, and it's got gorgeous imagery. Okay, so let's have a look. The first card is going to be the relationship between the two in the past, but before we do that, we'll have a look at the bottom of the deck. The Queen of Cups. A lot of tarot readers, when they come across the Queen of Cups, they say that's Mother Russia. Either that or the Empress. And I think because we're talking about the LNP's relationship with Russia, I'm happy to accept that is probably, and because Russia's in the background, I'm very happy to accept, in the context of these readings, that the Queen of Cups is Mother Russia. Okay? So in the past, a relationship with Mother Russia. Four of Cups. It's not been a relationship they've necessarily wanted or been too enthusiastic about in the past. You can see this person is like, if only this was enough, but we need some extra, and Russia's offering that extra. So Russia's had something that they've needed from time to time, and so they've put up with this relationship not very enthusiastically. That's in the past. In the present, Rebirth. Rebirth in this deck is number 20, which is Judgement. Again, just double checking. Yep, Judgement. And they feel that they're being judged on whatever relationship they have with Russia, whether it's justifiable or not, to be judged on it. So that's how they're seeing it. They're being judged on this relationship, whether or not it's there's really anything to be judged on or not. And the next bit is the hidden influences of this relationship with Russia. Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is about planning. It's about looking overseas and planning what you can do with their help. So yes, they have been looking at Russia and saying, how can you help us with our planning and with finding out information. Advice for the LNP on this relationship. The Three of Cups. The advice is saying the Three of Cups, and a lot of people see this as celebration and circles of support. This is three guys just getting happily drunk and forgetting about their cares and not really, I don't think they're really planning for the future. And I don't really think they're thinking through what they're doing. They're having lots and lots of cups and they're celebrating their win, I think. But if Russia was involved in any way, I think they have to stop and think of what it would mean if this was the case and they knew it, and they're not really thinking, these guys. They're just sitting there drinking their wine, having a happy celebration, and not really thinking about anything else. They're not thinking about getting home. They're not thinking about whether they should stop. They're not, they're just going on their merry way. And I think the advice in this instance would be, hey, put down your goblets of wine, take off the beer goggles, I suppose, and have a really good look at this relationship, where it's come from and what influence it might have had. And I will look at the influence on the election, if there was any, in a few minutes. But have a good look at the relationship. Take off your beer goggles or your rose-coloured glasses or whatever. And possible outcome of this relationship. The Wheel could lead to a change in fortunes. Karma coming around and biting them on the butt. So that is a possible outcome of this relationship, turning around and biting them on their collective blue wool suit clad butts. So that's something to look at. I might get a couple of clarifiers on this and have a clarifier on these two just grab a deck and we'll grab the top deck here. Keep this quick with clarification. Okay, let's have a quick look at the card on the bottom of the clarified deck. The King of Wands. Fiery, impassioned, but also that in this deck, along with a few others, there's a little lizard, and the lizard often represents rebirth, renewal. So clarification, it might mean somebody who's wise and who's passionate and who's a strong leader might need to step up and look at renewing things within the party. Wouldn't surprise me if Scott Morrison wasn't around for his whole term, but I'll have a look at that at a later date. Two of Wands, Three of Pentacles. This, because of the background and everything, as with the Waite deck, it's often referred to as the dirty money card. And given that it's there with it's in the hidden influences and planning, looking overseas, dirty money, I think that tells you that yes, Russia, they may have quite a bit of a dodgy relationship with Russia at the moment. The Three of Cups card, which is the advice card, which this card is the take off the beer goggles. Have a good look at yourself. Let's see what the clarifier says on that. Oh, Nine of Swords. If you don't take off the beer goggles and have a good look at yourself, you're going to be in for a bit of a nail-biting and anxious time. The interesting thing about this and some of the others is that there's only 3 swords going past the person, so a lot of the anxieties that they think that they might be feeling when they do that aren't really real, but there's definitely a portion of that anxiety that is definitely justified. So yeah, they might feel more than they need to, but there's enough there that it's definitely justified. They need to take off the beer goggles. Okay, what I will do now is take a quick look at whether or not Russia interfered in our elections. We're not like America. We don't have electronic ballots and things. We do have paper ballots, absentee postal ballots, and things that doesn't, our system is, probably because of that, we probably have a bit more of a secure system. It's not as vulnerable to hacking and stuff, but that doesn't mean it's foolproof. So we will have a look at I'll do an overview spread on this, which is my 7-card spread that I like to do when I want to have a general look at a situation and ask the question, did Russia interfere in the Australian elections so that the LNP could have an edge and beat out the Labor Party? Okay, so what's at the base of this? The base of this is the Three of Pentacles, group work. Now that's really interesting. It's not quite the dirty money card of the other deck, but it is group work. So that's, yeah, it's quite possible that they did do something. Okay, if not in the actual ballots themselves, possibly with influencing the way people think through Facebook and all that. Okay, the situation, the Five of Pentacles, out in the cold. Well, the election came and went, and in the end, the Labor Party were out in the cold. It was really hoped that they would win, but they didn't. They didn't get enough seats, not by a long shot. I'm not even sure that they increased the number of seats that they had. They may have, but I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go back and look. So the Labor Party ended up being out in the cold. Current influences. The Princess of Cups, which is the Page of Cups. The current influences. There's some news coming, maybe, about what happened. Maybe somebody's been looking into some things that quite possibly there's some news coming, and it's a princess, it's a page, so it's really just looking at the start of the process, so the news that could kick off a process. What's over the election? The Ace of Cups, an upwelling of emotion. A lot of people were very, very emotional that Labor lost it. You know, they weren't happy that Liberals won. They weren't happy that Labor and the Greens didn't get enough seats together to form a minority government. I think that was the second hope. I'm going to just push this back a little bit. Okay. The immediate future. Ten of Cups. A lot of times people say this is the GOP card, and I think in this instance, I think we can call it the LNP card as well. Everything's fine here. We're just a big, happy family here, and we're, you know, so the LNP, the coalition are going to try and push that. We're just a big, happy family, and considering they've gotten rid of Abbott and then Turnbull, in short shrift, within the space of a couple of years, and you know, and then they had to have another vote with Morrison reigning supreme on that one. They're not the big happy family they seem. That's just a facade, and I think that some news about that is going to come out in the future, or it could be shown yet again in the near future that it is a facade. What's underneath it all? What we don't want to think about. Judgment. The LNP, they don't want to think about being judged on what's happening, on what's going on. So it's very interesting. They feel that they might get judged in the near future about the win, and judgments might be brought down. That, you know, it could even go to the courts, some aspects of it. I just don't really know. I haven't, to my shame, I haven't really looked that closely at it since the election. So, yeah, it's a bit of a wake-up call on us all, I guess. In the recent past, the Fairfield, I think that this is Temperance. I think I'll just have a look at that. Temperance, I'm pretty sure. I can't pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure that is number 14 is Temperance, I think. The message, allow inner and outer, masculine and feminine to blend to give yourself the birth of your created self. Fluency between worlds. That's Temperance. Yeah. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. This is the Temperance card. They've been weighing things up. They've been looking at things and weighing things up in the recent past. You know, so maybe they have taken off those beer goggles, or weighing off, you know. So they have been looking at things in the recent past about whether or not there has been interference. And this spread is about whether or not there has been interference. So somebody in the recent past has been looking at things. LNP is a charade. Yeah, I don't think they got there all on their own. They're hoping not to get judged for it. There's news about it. It's pretty emotional news. And the result of it is that Labor were left out in the cold more than, I mean, there's no saying if they would have won outright. But they could have. The next step, the Princess of Swords, the Page of Swords, they're going to get some, there's going to be some disappointing news about this whole thing, I think. Or somebody, this can also be the cuckoo in the nest, the spy in the compound, or somebody might be coming out with some secrets about this election. I'll do a couple of clarifiers on the Princess of Cups. Four of Swords. Whatever news comes out, they're going to take a step back. Somebody's going to take a step back and have a look at it. What's over the situation? The Tower. Whatever this news is, whatever comes out of the examination of it, it's going to cause a bit of a Tower moment. The near future. The truth is going to emerge. Underneath it all, they're going to try and cling on to their power. The next step, Temperance, having a look, balancing. It's interesting.